Hello, my name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and this is part of my Planets in the Signs series. And so we are going to start with Mercury in all 12 of the signs. And before we start, I want you to keep in mind that this is a general energy I'm talking about because not everybody is going to experience this energy the same because of the houses that the planets can be in and also any aspects. So this is very general, and not everybody will have, let's say, a Mercury in Aries that is going to identify necessarily with all of the keywords and expressions. So I want you to keep in mind that the energy can be expressed differently depending on the house that the planet is in and also depending on any aspects to the planet. So I wanted to put that out there, that way you can be aware that, if you have, let's say, Mercury in one of these signs and you don't feel like you completely connect to the energy, even though I guarantee you will, but there may be other indicators in the chart to show why that is. Another thing I want to bring up is that there's always a lower expression of the energy and a higher expression of the energy. All signs have higher and lower expression. Same with the planets. It's the polarity of reality, right? We have higher expressions and lower expressions. So also keep that in mind. And not everybody has it. Everyone is different. Everyone's chart's different. So where every planet in the sign is going to have a lower expression of that energy and a higher expression. So I just wanted to put that out there. We all have our own ways of working with that energy where we can express it in a lower way or a higher way. And we all have that kind of free choice to do so. So let's get into the presentation. So let's go over the sign, the planet of Mercury. What is Mercury? Well, Mercury represents communication, and Mercury can also show the energy of one's voice. So somebody with a very nice voice, or even singers, they have unique Mercury placements or certain signature Mercury placements. It can be even a Mercury conjunct Venus. So Mercury represents communication and your voice, your mind and mindset, and your memory. Mercury also represents information processing, how you learn, your speaking and writing skills. Mercury represents siblings, cousins, and neighbors, and also paperwork and documents. And Mercury can represent the intellectual level of the native, and also day-to-day travel and short trips. Mercury also rules vehicles and transportation, and Mercury rules our nerves, arms, hands, and fingers. So now let's get into the signs. So Mercury in Aries, this native can be very energetic and fun, very assertive, aggressive, because Aries is ruled by Mars. So one of the signature energies is to be very assertive, very aggressive, very impulsive. However, this energy is very pioneering. They're go-getters. Aries is a go-getter, and sometimes to a fault, where there's no thinking behind it. They kind of just go. And also they can be very impatient, very eager. There's that go energy, very strong minded and strong willed. And they are also very, Mercury and Aries can also be very self motivated and driven, because we have that Mars energy. Aries is ruled by Mars. So there's this fiery energy, there's this aggression, this assertion, very motivated, lots of willpower and drive. Some celebrities with Mercury and Aries, and I threw celebrities in here so that you can see a little bit of how the energy can show up, because we do see celebrities and kind of how they are. So some celebrities that have Mercury and Aries is Albert Einstein, very pioneering, Jordana Brewster, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Amber Heard, Keira Knightley, and Channing Tatum. What I did was try to really throw in a little bit of everything so you can see how different the energies can show up because of different aspects and different houses that the planet can be in. So now let's move into Mercury and Taurus. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. So this energy is very harmonious. However, Taurus is an earth sign, very practical and can be stubborn. They want stability. They're very stable. They're a very fixed sign. So sometimes it's hard for them to want to change things. They like to stay with what is comfortable. Comfort, stability, and security is very important to Taurus. So Mercury, which rules our mind, this can be one that really sticks to what they know and what feels comfortable. So they don't necessarily like to change a lot. This is also one that can be have excellent memory. And this is because of the influence with the moon. The moon is exalted in Taurus, and therefore Taurus and Mercury has to do with our memory. So this is one that can have a very excellent memory. This is also one that is very intentional and has a no nonsense approach because of the earth, right? The earth sign, very grounded. So when they speak, when they act, it's very intentional. They know what they want, and they have this no nonsense approach. Now, some celebrities of the Mercury in Taurus are Kurt Sutter, Jamie Dornan, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Pierce Brosnan, Ron Perlman, Mike Myers, Cher, and Alec Baldwin. Mercury in Gemini. So Mercury is at home in Gemini. And these are individuals because Gemini already rules our mind and communication. So these people are very well versed. Mercury does very well. So people with Mercury and Gemini, very intellectual, unless there's other indicators in the chart, however. And these are people that love communicating. Communication is very important to people that have Mercury and Gemini. These individuals can be very creative, quick minded, have this trickster or prankster energy about them. They're very lively and go, go, go. Gemini is a very quick energy. So they have a lot of energy. They're very dynamic, very curious, and also very versatile. And some celebrities that have Mercury and Gemini are George St. Pierre, Liam Neeson, Ice Cube, Russell Brand, Angelina Jolie, Prince William, and Marilyn Monroe. Mercury in Cancer. So this is a very receptive energy because Cancer is a water sign. And so Mercury in Cancer, this is one that can be very intuitive, very receptive. They feel things a lot more. And so they can be extremely adaptable and tend to feel and connect to the energies around them because of that receptivity, that water sign and that nature of the water signs. They have a great memory because again, there's that influence from the moon. The moon is the ruler of Cancer. So individuals that have Mercury in Cancer tend to have a very good memory. They're very imaginative, creative, and they have this emotional approach where they tend to act on how they feel. They can be very nurturing and it's a very mothering energy. So individuals with Mercury in Cancer, they're very nurturing. They love to care for others and they're very receptive. And again, they have that emotional approach where they can connect to others' energy, they can feel what others are feeling. And the one expression too with the Mercury and Cancers, they can be sometimes passive aggressive in nature. Now, some celebrities that have Mercury in Cancer is Jason Statham, which I thought this was very interesting because this is this big guy, this muscular man. However, he's got Mercury in Cancer, so he's very nurturing. So I thought he was a good person to throw in to show you how these energies can show up in different ways. Now, the other celebrities are Natalie Portman, Shia LaBeouf, Amy Schumer, Ricky Gervais, Maggie Siff, and Kate Beckinsale. I thought it was very interesting how a lot of comedians seem to have their Mercury in Cancer. Mercury in Leo. So Mercury is actually at its fall in Leo. And so the Leo energy is very passionate, very playful, very charismatic and enthusiastic. And so individuals that have Mercury in Leo, when they speak or talk or communicate, they can be very passionate, very outgoing, very charismatic. And sometimes to where it's too much, which would be a lower expression of the energy, very boastful and arrogant. They also tend to have this magnetic flair about them, where because they're so vibrant and so outgoing, people are just drawn to them. They are also very optimistic. They have a very optimistic nature about them. They feel very optimistic about life, and they have a very optimistic approach to whatever they do. They also are very creative and determined, and the determinedness comes from that fixed energy. So again, there's this fixed energy where they may not like to shift and change, right? They can get stuck in their comfort zones because of the fixed energy with Leo. And they're also very confident. So when they're speaking, they can come off as very confident. And that is where there's a very fine line between the boastful and arrogant energy and the confident energy, where they're individuals with Mercury and Leo have to watch how much they're kind of putting out there because they can come off as boastful and arrogant. However, they just are confident and very charismatic and enthusiastic. And so some celebrities with Mercury and Leo are Anna Kendrick, Charlize Theron, Joe Rogan, Lindsay Lohan, Meghan Markle, James Cameron, and Kevin Hart. Mercury in Virgo. So, Mercury is actually at home and exalted in Virgo. So, Mercury can express its energy very well in Virgo. And the Virgo energy, this is another earth sign. However, this earth sign is a mutable earth sign. So, there is this changeable and adaptable energy with Virgo. However, Virgo is very analytical, very practical, very critical. And so, Mercury in Virgo, they want to know all about the facts. They stick to the facts and what they know before they really come to conclusions or theories on anything. They're very factual. This is also a placement that is very can be very intellectual, sharp-minded. And Mercury in Virgo is also very precise and dedicated. There's this hardworking energy because they everything kind of has to be perfect, and therefore they have to really see things through. They can't just half-ass things because they're first of all, they're very self-critical on themselves. And therefore, if they feel like they're not doing a good job or serving others accordingly in what they feel is um up to par with them, they feel bad about themselves because they are, even though they come off as being very critical of others, but in actuality, Virgos, they just want the best for everyone. And sometimes they feel like their best is what's best for everyone, and that's why they come off kind of so critical and maybe judgmental of others. But and I'm sure some can be, and that would be a lower expression of the energy, but Virgo is a very service oriented sign. And so when they feel like their job in this world is to be of service for others. And so that's what they do. And sometimes they feel like their way of doing things can be the best way. And they can be a little bit of perfectionistic. They have this perfectionistic energy where everything has to be perfect, and their perfect is what's perfect. And that's where this energy of critical kind of comes in. However, Virgo is a very serving energy, like I said. So they want to be of service to others. And so individuals that have Mercury in Virgo, that's what they're always doing. They're feeling as if that's their job. Like they want to be of service. They can be very analytical sometimes feel or seem as if they're being critical. And they're really dedicated, and and also an energy too is when they speak, they tend to speak very precisely. They're very intellectual. They're good with speaking. And that's because Mercury is at home and exalted in Virgo. So they do very well with speaking, usually in writing, unless there's other indicators in the chart. Now, some celebrities with Mercury and Virgo is Madonna, Adam Sandler, Ludacris, Robert De Niro, Selma Hayek, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Nick Jonas. So let's go into Mercury in Libra. So this energy, Libra is an air sign, and also Libra is ruled by Venus. And one energy that is really important to Libra is, or associated with Libra, is balance and harmony. And we get that harmony from Venus, right? But Libra is all about balance. So they have this the way they express themselves is they want to make sure everybody is okay. And also, individuals that have Mercury and Libra, they tend to have these really nice, eloquent voices because of that Venus energy, right? They tend to have very nice voices, singers, and the way they come off and the way they talk and the way they present themselves is very eloquent. And they're very fair with their communication, and it's that balance, right? They have this very lighthearted perspective. They're very considerate of others. They're also very charming, and they can tend to be passive aggressive. And this is because they don't want to hurt anybody. They care a lot about how others feel. They want to make sure there's balance all around with emotions and how others are feeling. And so sometimes they can come off as passive aggressive where they may not feel okay, or they they tend to sometimes put others before them because they care too much about appeasing others sometimes. It's that Libra thing. They really care about how others are feeling, sometimes to their own detriment. And so individuals with Libra or Mercury in Libra can sometimes do this at a detriment to themselves, where they're putting other people before themselves. So that's definitely an aspect of this energy that can be challenging. However, they're very caring individuals because they care a lot about others. They want to make sure everything is balanced and just. Some celebrities with Mercury and Libra is Will Smith, Emma Stone, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Kendall and Kris Jenner, Rita Wilson, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Now let's get into Mercury and Scorpio. So Scorpio is another water sign. This is a fixed water sign. So again, we have this kind of fixed energy where Mercury and Scorpio individuals may not like to change. They may get stuck in their comfort zones and feel their way is the only way. It has to do with that where they can be stubborn, um, however, Scorpio is a very good energy for investigation. They're very methodical, observant, and precise. And they are also very passionate. They can even be kind of these like seductive communicators when they speak. They're very seductive. And they really speak. Sometimes they can be cunning, sometimes they use their words, and this can be a lower expression of this energy, where when they are see, they're very observant, they're very methodical, and this can come off when they're thinking, when they're expressing themselves. They read the room, they want to know everything, and they won't act until they are comfortable and they know the environment that they're in. Now, Mercury and Scorpio, this can also be a very secretive or private energy where like I said, they're not going to express themselves until they know they can trust, until they know their environment that they're in, and that they can trust others and they can trust where they're at. So, however, these individuals are very intuitive because Scorpio is a very intuitive energy. And a lower expression of this energy, they can sometimes come off or be obsessive and controlling. And that is a lower expression of Scorpio, is they can sometimes be very obsessive, very controlling. And however, it's a very loyal energy. So it, like I said at the beginning of this, all signs have lower expressions and higher expressions. It's all about how the individual decides to activate that energy and use that energy out into the world. So, you know, overall, the Mercury and Scorpio energy, they make great researchers, great investigators. They would make great police officers and detectives. And so some celebrities with Mercury and Scorpio are Eminem, which I thought was so interesting and so suiting almost. Kim Kardashian, Prince Charles, Matthew McConaughey, Ryan Gosling, Hilary Duff, and Rob Schneider. So you see how the energy where we have Eminem and we have Hilary Duff, complete opposites, right? So it's not always this like, it's always expressed differently depending on the charts, right? And so Mercury in Sagittarius. So Mercury is at its detriment in Sagittarius. And that's because Mercury is so analytical, critical. It's all about the mind and precision. Sagittarius is such a free-flowing energy. They're very free and adventurous, outgoing. And so individuals with Mercury in Sagittarius, this can be a very optimistic and forward thinker. This is also someone that loves freedom, freedom of expression, adventurous. interests, passion for learning, because Sagittarius can represent higher learning, philosophy. So they have this higher mind and they want to know, oh, they have this kind of philosophical mind, right? They're very lively and jovial and curious, and they're visionaries. So individuals that have Mercury in Sagittarius, they love freedom. They want to feel like they can express themselves freely. And so if they're with others where they feel like they have to restrict their expression, this is where they can feel restricted, right? And so individuals with Mercury and Sagittarius, they need to be able to express themselves freely. And they want to learn. They have this gift and this ability, and then wanting to just learn as much as they can, be adventurous, travel the world. That's such a Sagittarian energy. And so Mercury that rules our mind, these individuals really truly need that. And some celebrities with Mercury in Sagittarius is Jon Stewart, Nicki Minaj, Bryan Adams, Steven Spielberg, Britney Spears, Jay-Z, Woody Allen. Now, Mercury in Capricorn. So, Capricorn is an earth sign. It's a cardinal earth sign. So, again, we have this really grounded energy, kind of practical energy, right? A lot of the earth signs, very practical, very grounded. They all sort of do have this no nonsense approach in their own way. And so Capricorn is very grounded, very patient, very rational, confident. They're very grounded in the way they communicate, where they can really come off as knowing what they're talking about. They have this preciseness about them. And Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, right? So they're very hardworking, very dedicated, and they tend to have kind of like this feel where they don't have patience for people that are not hardworking and dedicated, right? They really see things through whenever they start things. They're very dependable, very responsible, and they're also very pragmatic and methodical. And so they're not necessarily have this theoretical approach to things, right? They really need to know the facts. They need to know. This is very similar to the Virgo energy, but they're just not as self, um, not even self critical, but as critical or as precise or analytical, even though they still are. There's not this as precise kind of energy. And so celebrities with Mercury and Capricorn are Samuel Jackson, Kerry Washington, Ellen DeGeneres, Michelle Obama, Dolly Parton, Brad Pitt, and Taylor Swift. And now Mercury in Aquarius. So Mercury is exalted in Aquarius. This means that Mercury does very well in Aquarius, and Aquarius is a fixed air sign. So again, we have this fixed energy of which can show up as stubbornness, as not liking to change or not wanting to change. And so individuals with Mercury in Aquarius, they tend to have a very clever mind. They're truth seekers. They are also known to be one of the Aquarian energies is emotional detachment. But what it is that Aquarians are able to make decisions and separate themselves from their emotions. So, where sometimes Cancers have this emotional approach or they react based on their emotions, which is a thing kind of all of the water signs can do because of the receptivity and the emotional aspect of the water signs, where Aquarius, they're able to detach themselves from their emotions and do the work or make decisions based on fact, or not necessarily based on facts, but just not based on their emotions. They can separate themselves. They have this ability to do that well. So that's where they come off as being emotionally detached. They're also very exquisite, very inventive, entrepreneurial energy, very intellectual, and they have this individual uniqueness and they like to express that out to others, right? They love creating things, inventing things. They want to come up with inventions that only they know, and they want people to know this. They're known as the great thinkers. And so some of the celebrities that have Mercury in Aquarius is Steve Jobs, which I thought was very suiting and fitting, Drew Barrymore, Kate Middleton, Rihanna, Paris Hilton, Jason Bateman, and LL Cool J. Now, Mercury in Pisces. So, Mercury is actually in detriment in Pisces, and that is because Pisces is very mutable and a water sign. So, there's not a lot of stability when it comes to the Pisces energy. Mercury in Pisces is probably one of the hardest Mercury placements. And it's because when we're talking about Mercury, we're talking about our mind, how we think, how we speak, how we act. And so, being in Pisces, which is such this mutable energy, it's hard to really these individuals sometimes have a hard time focusing or have a hard time connecting or being precise, being analytical. You know what I mean? Like they have a hard time kind of focusing. And so some of the energy here is sensitive to their surroundings. However, they can be very imaginative and creative and artistic. That is one of the amazing things about Pisces and Mercury and Pisces is the creativity, the intuition, the intuitive thought processing, right? They are able, it's such a very spiritual energy that they have this unique connection to the spiritual realms that not necessarily the other signs have. So, where it can be difficult when it comes to being analytical or critical and precise and paying attention to the details, they have this ability to connect to realms and spirituality and have these intuitive downloads that the other ones can't have. And even though the other water signs are very receptive, Pisces is the most receptive, intuitive, and connected sign. So, it can be a difficult energy when it comes to, thinking and really focusing on decision making. However, it's very spiritual and has these other amazing abilities to it. The one thing with Mercury and Pisces, it can be very sympathetic and empathetic, so they feel everything around them, and this is where it also does get challenging to where sometimes individuals that have this placement, they have a hard time of knowing what is theirs and what is not theirs. They feel all the energy and they are also picking up on other people's thoughts. And so sometimes that is what I find is the most challenging is that you're not being able to discern what is yours and what is not yours, even when it comes to feelings, thoughts, emotions. So, that is one thing with having Mercury and Pisces that individuals need to be aware of is being able to have that discernment of what is yours and what is not yours, because that is a very difficult energy with this placement. And so some celebrities with Mercury and Pisces are Charlie Hunnam, Lady Gaga, Justin Timberlake, Queen Latifah, Elton John, Steven Tyler, and David Letterman. So this is the end of the Mercury in all 12 signs, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I will connect with you in the next video when we go over Venus and all 12 signs.